Howdy folks, and welcome back to Constantine's Adventure. She's been hanging around her house near Falkreath for a bit, but has finally come to the conclusion that while she continues to make a name for herself through her own exploits, being considered part of other groups may help her in other avenues, as well as just let her learn more things. She remembered that Farkas had given her an official companion's mission to root out a problem near Solitude. Actually, speaking of Solitude, it had been a while since Constantine had gone back to the museum, and she's been dropping off a lot of different artifacts for pickup. She did also have a Daedric artifact she needed to put away, and it's just not a great idea to have those lying about. As she approaches Falkreath, she thinks about all she's accomplished so far, and how much more she has to go. She'd become a decent blacksmith, but nowhere near a master, and her grasp of magic was slowly improving. What she really wanted, though, was the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood. She already stealed and killed for money, so the morals didn't really affect her too much, but it had been years since anybody had seen, much less heard, of the Brotherhood. According to history, they were nearly wiped out, though pockets still exist. It'll be something she needs to keep her ear out for, just in case. Her reasoning for wanting to find them was simple enough. It was to learn. Who better to teach how to kill from the shadows than a band of organized assassins? Especially if they still exist after their alleged destruction. Then, not only would she be in the company of professionals, but of survivors. And honestly, what better teachers could you ask for? Arriving at the carriage, she told the driver she wanted to head to Solitude. And, upon her arrival, she makes the quick run to the museum. It was paramount that she get the mask of Clavicus Vile inside for protection, as honestly, who knows what could occur otherwise. Daedric artifacts are, of course, Daedric in nature, and you never really know if they've got a little ping signal going out, sort of attracting people. So for Constantine, it made a lot of sense to get this behind glass ASAP. With the mask, she heads straight for the east wing of the museum and heads towards the Daedric Gallery. Now, this portion of the gallery is interesting. As noted, Daedric artifacts are in some way, shape, or form attached to the planes of Oblivion, and this can cause all sorts of problems if handled improperly or fall into the wrong hands. Arian still wants to show off these artifacts, so he devised and created a new type of shielding that will dampen the connection to the Oblivion plane. The item's power and ability are still present, but this sort of glass barrier keeps it all locked away. And more importantly, only Constantine, Arian, and a few others are able to actually reach through the barrier. Everyone else can't, and it appears to be magic-proof, using the same fundamentals as barrier spells. After putting away the most dangerous object, she heads back towards the main office to pick up the rest of the artifacts and books that she's collected and sent over. Using Arian's special magic, she is able to place a majority of the items in their respective locations, though a few she will need to place manually, and she of course has to go to the library and finish up putting all those books away. Once finished with her chores here in the museum, she heads off to deal with a contract given to her by Farkas. Leaving Solitude, she had a bit of a trek ahead of her to Bruca's Leap. Remembering the contract from Farkas, she was to clear out a camp of the Forsworn. Now, she had very few run-ins, if any, with the Forsworn at this point, and she only sort of understood what was going on through bits and pieces she had picked up in her travels, and they appear to be some sort of a rebellion. Not like the current civil war between the Stormcloaks and the Empire, but, to her understanding, against the province of the Reach and the Empire and Ulfric. Though they have little love for the Stormcloaks, of course. In her studies, though, she found that the Forsworn are a group of Daedra worshippers, and after the end of the Third Era's Oblivion crisis, though please keep in mind she was not around for that, so how true some of the details are about that crisis are debatable. The pre-Forsworn are known as the Reachmen, and sort of controlled the Reach, and by controlled, she means took over, and requested that the Empire view them as a sovereign nation not attached to Skyrim. The Empire sorta kinda didn't care, and were busy with the Thalmor and the White Gold Concordat. This is when Ulfric stepped in and wiped out a majority of the Reachmen in the Reach, installing his own Jarl as the civil war in Skyrim started to heat up. The survivors formed the Forsworn and appear to just sort of hate everyone involved. Now, Constantine has no opinion on the matter, on whether one side was more deserving or not. The Reachmen attacked and overthrew the already weak empire, and then they were angry that they weren't recognized. They are then also angry that Ulfric came in and beat them ruthlessly. It's all sort of just war and politics to her, but where there is war, there is money. Now, she has no intention of ever siding with the Forsworn, but if they are that hated by most of Skyrim's landed powers, then she knows attacking them may do real well for her reputation moving forward. Arriving in Dragon's Bridge, she's about halfway to her target. She sprints through the town and heads out one of the back ways leading to the wilderness. The closer she gets to her target, the more she feels the electricity in the air of violence and blood. The quiet before the strike. She's starting to enjoy that moment. Constantine has now officially arrived at Bruka's Leap and takes a position on a high mountain overlooking the main camp. Her early warning system kicks off to let her know that she could have the possibility of being spotted, so she moves positions just a little bit. Once she gets a good lay of the land, she pulls back the bowstring and lets the arrow fly. Her first arrow finds its mark, dropping the Forsworn to their knees, and her second shot sends them to oblivion. This is a good start. Repositioning a little, she sees the faintest outline of another Forsworn. Forsworn number 2 will meet the same end as the first. The camp, at least on the outside, appears clear, and she notices a wolf in the distance. It's a good few meters away, but with nobody else to practice her aim on, she decides to see how good of a shot she's gotten. One arrow's all it took. Dropping in from above, she does a quick scout around to make sure her assumptions of the empty camp are correct. There's no need for any surprises when she's already been this stealthy. Now she loots what she can pick up and heads into the base proper. Inside is a dank and musty cave with 2 Forsworn. Constantine sneaks up to the opening in the wall where she has line of sight in the leader, and with a few arrows, drops him before turning her attention to the second one.
Hello? Who's there? You bastard! The reach will be ours again!
With the second one's death, that is officially the end of the contract. All that's left now is to take anything of value and make her way back to Whiterun to report into Farkas. There was nothing of any significant value, but I mean, what can you expect from a bunch of people who dress in bones and hide? It's not like they really need gold for anything. With one last look, she starts to make her way back to Solitude, where she can take a carriage ride back to Whiterun. The hike back to Dragon's Bridge was uneventful, but arriving in the town did yield some interesting results. See, she came across a vigilante of Stendar who was passing through the area. She was finally able to turn in that bounty on the vampire from Whiterun. The vigilante thanked her and went off. As she continued to make her way to Solitude, though, she couldn't help but notice the arrogance of the vigilante of Stendar. There's nothing wrong with killing vampires for money, nor even proselytizing. But he had this aura of a better than thou that just really irked her. She honestly had half a thought to just turn around and shoot him in the back just to teach him a lesson, but thought better of it. Most likely it was just one bad apple. No way every vigilante had a superiority complex. She would need to be more careful around these vigilantes. She'll work with them so long as they pay, and they do pay pretty well, but when it comes to possibly joining them, she may have to think twice. In any case, though, she finally makes it back to Solitude and the carriage where she was able to then take her ride back to Whiterun. Arriving back in Whiterun, she lets the pasture smells fill her nose. She likes it here. It's very different from Falkreath, and she hopes to one day buy a home here in Whiterun. The companions' quarters aren't nice, but they just aren't very private, and she is someone who really needs her privacy. It's not necessarily frowned upon in the companions, but studying magic can be a little iffy at best, and she has gotten some looks last time she tried to study. After having run a few quick errands at Bellathor's, mostly just selling unwanted loot, it was now time to return to Jorrvaskr, where she could finally turn in the contracts she had gotten from Farkas. Upon entering, she found Farkas waiting for her, and he gives her a warm reception upon learning of the task's completion. Constantine asks for more work, but Farkas lets her know that Skjor had requested her personally for something. This made Constantine wary. Why would Skjor, most likely the second in command, want to speak with her, a new recruit? One of two things was going through her mind. Either she was being kicked out or promoted. And the only thing she can think about regarding promotion is word of her already many exploits and successes have reached Skjor's ears.
Ah, there you are.
Yes, I have something a little different planned this time. But it's
He
not for
tells
everyone
her
to
that
hear.
he has a
Meet me in the
different
Underforest
sort of
tonight.
assignment,
We will speak
and
more.
he's very scarce on details.
I forget.
He then
never
requests
ceased.
her presence at a
Beneath the
location
Skyforge,
known as the
where
Underforge
Jorlin
in the
works.
evening.
The door
When
is hidden.
asked, he notes it's
but I will
below the
show you the
forge
way.
that Jorlin works at. Now, Constantine's no stranger to mystery, but this is just unsettling. She'll join in the evening, but she's gonna have one hand on her blade, just in case. Constantine decides the best bet is to head back into Jorrvaskr and take a nap until the evening when Skjor wanted to speak with her. Honestly, whatever this is, it's just incredibly secretive. She wakes up around midnight, which to her seems like a pretty reasonable time of, quote-unquote, evening. Now, all she has to do is go out and find where Skjor is. He said he'd be waiting near the Underforge, which is near the Skyforge, or underneath the Skyforge. She doesn't really know what she's looking for, but she's hoping Skjor is going to at least be waiting for her. After exiting Jorrvaskr, she takes a quick left, and to her surprise, Skjor is waiting for her with a torch. How
Are you
long he'd
prepared?
been standing out there is not
Here's all you
something
need
she
to know.
wants to think about.
Jorrvaskr is the oldest building.
Skjor
in
goes
Whiterun.
on about some
Skyforge
ancient
was here
magic
long
that's
before
been
it
here
was.
since
And
forever,
the
and
Underforge
how
taps an
she
ancient
is
magic
supposed to be
that's
and will
older than
become
men
part
or
of the
elves.
circle.
We bring you here to make you stronger, new blood. Now let's move.
Constantine has her concerns, but takes a deep breath and pushes in.
I'm glad you came. It's been a long time since we had a heart like yours among our numbers.
When she
That
finally
pitiful
sees the
ceremony
light,
behind the hall
standing
is
in
not
front of
fit
her is a
warriors like
werewolf.
us.
There was no time to
You
think.
are due
Constantine
more
brandishes her
arms
blade,
and
ready to
calls
fight.
and feasting. I would hope
an
you
attack
recognize
that never
Ayla,
comes.
even in this form.
What?
She's agreed to be
What's
your
going on
forebearer.
here?
We do this in secret.
stay
because
silent and
Conrad
listen
is
to
too
what
busy
Skjor
trying
has to
throw
say.
away this great gift we've been granted. He thinks we've been cursed, but we've been blessed. How can something that gives this kind of prowess be a curse? So we take matters into our own hands. To reach the heights of the companions, you must join with us in the shared blood of the wolf.
Are you prepared to join your spirit with the beast world, friend?
And that's when he
It's
asks,
your choice.
is
We will not
Constantine
force you.
ready to become a
But to
werewolf?
join the circle, you'll blood
How is she supposed to answer that? What if
Meet
she
us
doesn't
here
want to
when you're
become
ready.
one? But then she won't rise through the ranks in the companions. She doesn't know what to do. So she does the one thing she can. She runs. Fear in every step as she hurtles her way through Whiterun. She has no idea what to do or where to go, and she ends up in the Bannered Mare. Without a second thought, she runs up to the barkeep and orders a couple bottles of alcohol. She heads to a table and downs the bottles.
Let's sate that appetite, hmm?
Work you're looking for? Hulda's the one to... talk to.
As her head spins from the alcohol, she finally gets a grip of her nerves. Werewolf. They want her to become a werewolf and join the inner circle. That means giving up a part of herself to the beast. If she takes the offer, she can join and rise through the ranks of the companion. Her renown would grow ever more. At the same time, she'd be a werewolf. Do they have control of themselves? Can she control herself? Her anger slipped before. Would this increase that potential? Would she lose herself to the beast? At the same time, though, the raw power she would obtain, it's nothing to sniff at. Maybe she could find a cure if she felt she was unable to control it. Is there even a cure? She continues to ponder. She decides she's going to take the risk. Power isn't obtained by simply existing. It's taking risks. Though how far the consequences for her actions are yet still unknown. What is known is that she's got to head back to the Underforge and participate in the ritual. Heading back to Jorvaskr in the Underforge, every step she takes, she hears her heart beating a little louder until, whether she fully recognized it or not, she was back in front of the Underforge. This time, though, she knew exactly what to expect. No blade needed. Once again, taking a deep breath, she enters.
Are you prepared to join
Walking
your
in, she
spirit
goes
with
back
the
to
beast
Skjor
world,
and
friend?
lets him know that she's ready. With a grin on his face, he
Very
walks
well.
over to Ayla in wolf form and cuts her arm, dropping blood into the basin. She is then commanded to drink. She looks at the crimson, slightly viscous liquid and drinks. Ah, the power she feels, the hunger. She is ravenous. She must slaughter. She runs around, not feeling control of all her faculties, but is moving and fighting based solely on some animalistic instinct. A guard gets in her way, and she's clearly still very clumsy in her form, but in time, she dispatches him. Heart makes her salivate, but her attention is returned to another guard. Without warning, though, she loses consciousness and fades into the black. She awakens with a throbbing headache in front of Ayla. She thought she had died, but apparently we just had an incredibly difficult transformation.
But you're still alive.
Constantine takes that as code for almost losing herself. The two speak, and Ayla tells her they're going to initiate a hunt on the Silver Hand base. Skjor apparently already went ahead, and after a quick chat about whatever just happened, Ayla and Constantine go in for the attack.
Already scouting ahead.
We head for the fort stealthily. Ayla is a huntress, of course, so going in swords drawn immediately seems counterintuitive. There are 3 defenders, and Constantine takes them down with precision. She was so quick on the bowstring, Ayla didn't even get a chance to fight. She loots what she can and heads into the fort.
You're dead. You hear me? Dead! Ah, found you!
Inside is clearly a den of werewolf hunters.
Look at this.
They've got werewolf
Cowards
heads
must have
on
locked the
pikes,
place down
and
after
look,
Skjor charged in.
Constantine isn't
You
great
taste
at
the
indoor
fear.
decor herself, but it makes reasonable sense to maybe not have dead things inside the place you live. At best, it'll stink up the place. And honestly, look, there are many inside and outside decor items. Heads on spikes are an outside decoration, not an inside one. As she travels down to the fort, she comes across a few Silver Hand members who she expertly, and more importantly, quickly, dispatches. As she travels down to the fort, she comes across a few Silver Hand members who, with the help of Ulf and Ayla, tags her with dispatch. She continues to loot what she can and moves on. She continues up a set of stairs, coming across what looks like a few Silver Hand members relaxing, reading, and just minding their own business. See, here's the issue with that. Constantine has a bow and a vendetta, and they can't hear her. Hopefully, whatever it is they were doing was fun, since they won't be able to do it again. Ever. What has bothered her, though, is Ayla noted that Skjor had gone ahead, but clearly these individuals don't seem to care that someone most likely just plowed through their fort. A pit starts to form in her stomach. The group comes across a door, which Constantine opens and barrels through, ready to attack whatever was in her way. Something she had not thought about, though, is as a werewolf, now silver hurts a lot more than it used to, and she takes a few hits, requiring her to retreat and heal up. The fight lasts several minutes as Ayla, Ulf, and Constantine battle their way through what is most likely the remaining garrison before the main cistern of the fort.
I'm afraid of you.
As the battle rages on, she continues to get more and more concerned as to where Skjor might be. Now, this is still an extermination mission, so it's up to her and everyone else to make sure that not a single hand member is left standing. But afterwards, well, then they're going to need to figure out what's up. Once the last member is dropped, it's just a quick loot and scoot, and she moves on. They get closer to the cistern when Ayla lets her know the leader of this cell is known as the Skinner. It'll be our job to make sure she never skins again. The door opens and Constantine lets her arrows fly. There are quite a few Silver Hand members in here, with the Skinner being in the steel armor. What's worse, though, is that the group is currently outmanned, but that doesn't stop them from fighting. And slowly, the Silver Hand members begin to fall by blade and arrow. Ulf continues to show what a good boy he is by biting and gnashing at anything that gets close. Constantine continues trying to whittle down the Skinner's health while also assisting Ayla in taking out the stragglers. As she's moving around, she noticed a figure on the ground, but had no time to check her suspicions, as the Skinner was starting to barrel down on her, looking for her next victim. The silver blades were starting to do a real number on her. She was getting exhausted. The Skinner was the last one alive, but both Ayla and Ulf looked like they were going to pass out at any minute. Constantine truly was not ready for the incredible weakness she now had to silver, but she had a mission to finish, and she was not going to be ended by some 2-bit gang leader. The final arrow in the back of the Skinner, Constantine switches quickly to her restoration magic, trying to heal some of the open wounds, or checking on the body, which she already knew whom it was.
Somehow they managed to kill
Skjor was dead, and Ayla was pissed. She wanted revenge for the death of Skjor, and it seemed she was on the warpath to wipe out the entirety of the Silver Hand. Constantine had no qualms with this. She might not have known Skjor very well, but now that she was a werewolf, she had a target on her back. Getting rid of the threat made the most sense. Ayla gave her first Silver Hand target in Fort Fellhammer.
One of the brighter Silver Hand has been sniffing around the Pale. If you can sneak into their camp and steal his plans, we'll have the advantage. I'm gonna find whoever did this.
After looting the Skinner, Constantine burned the corpse, as is a habit of hers when dealing with enemies whom she despises. One thing is triumph in battle, the other is desecrating the bodies to leave a message. After looting the bodies and burning the corpses, she also takes a few items off of Skewer. Ayla can deal with the body, but his gear should be placed in the museum for safekeeping. Ayla protested at first, but came around to the idea after Constantine explained the purpose of the museum. Skewer was a good man and deserved to have his items displayed as such. Finally finishing the fort, Constantine was exhausted. She had looted and done everything she needed, and her plan was to set up camp and rest, but looking at her map, she realized that she was pretty close to Whiterun. So instead of setting up camp or taking a random sleeping bag, she decided she would make her way towards the city and rest there. While running through the forest, she came across what could only be described as a woodland hut for sale. Unsure of who the seller was, but the place gave off a cozy, out-of-the-way feeling. This also may prove to be an incredibly useful base of operations for her in the woodlands if she needed it. So, what she does, she marks it on her map, and she keeps moving before nearly being killed by a frostbite spider of all things. Oh god, she is tired. She needs that rest soon. After that little spider mishap, she comes across yet another weird shrine. Now, she had seen one of these before, but again, when she put her hands on it, it seemed the magic just wasn't there or wasn't available. A book was left on the altar, though, dealing in some form of a ritual regarding souls. Now, whatever the ritual is, it can't be a good thing, but curiosity got the better of her and she tucked the book away. She'll probably come back when she has a more solid grasp of magic and magical theory. Her walk back to Whiterun is uneventful until she comes across a ruined tower base flooded with bandits. She's hit that point in her exhaustion where now she's just pissed. She's angry at the bandits for even existing and chooses the best course of action is slaughtering all of them. So that's what she does. With the assistance of the best boy Ulf, the two start to take out each bandit with extreme prejudice. She could taste the fear in the air. Her newfound werewolf senses give her that ability. With each bandit eliminated, the rest become more and more terrified. The fear is there, and she loves it. What a powerful emotion that gives off an even greater scent. She continues her hunt. Her expert aim is no match for these gutless weaklings. They got a hit on her, but it just dinged her armor, nothing more. She crosses the stone bridge to the other tower, getting ready to eliminate the rest of the bandits. And as she does, she feels her heart rate increase. She can now taste the blood on the air, and by the gods does she want more of it. The bloodlust is making her sloppy. The new werewolf powers, while increasing her senses, also seem to dull her concentration. She has to be able to control this lest she dies due to her arrogance. It's too much for her, though. The blood is in the air, and she's hungry. She allows the wolf to come out and play, transforming her into her beast form. With her claws, she rips and tears through the remaining bandits, soaking up every single ounce of fear and blood that is on the air.
Got it! Not your best! Please don't kill me!
Having killed the remaining bandit, she's able to once again obtain full control and transform back into her human form. Her tiredness increases, transforming appears to take a lot out of her, and she's left with a metallic taste on her tongue. She's admittedly not sure how to feel about what just happened. The raw power was amazing, but the bestial feeling of ripping apart an enemy just unsettled her. She's not against her becoming a werewolf. The upside seemed to be better than the down, but she does want to start research on a cure, just in case. Tired, but an adventurer at heart, she comes across a ruin, and if she had seen properly, there's a standing stone at the top. Now, she's in for more than she bargained for, as she was immediately attacked by a skeletal, Draugr-looking thing. There are necromancers about. She loves necromancers. Hearing a voice, she knows someone's around the corner. The important steps to make sure they don't see her before it's too late. Ulf continues to show his use by dealing with the mage when she missed her admittedly easy shot. The head necromancer's above. She can hear her talking to herself. It's always the necromancers that talk to themselves, honestly. But, you know, then again, it's not like the dead make for great conversationalists.
Is someone there?
The shot lines up and is let loose as the necromancer summons her army of dead bones. A skill Constantine will learn one day, but for now she just needs to get rid of the current problem. This necromancer is a lot hardier than some of the others she's come across. Most likely she's using some form of alteration shielding like what Constantine uses, but as with everything, this too shall break. A quick search of the area grabs some interesting loot, and she takes a rubbing of the stone for Aryan to create a replica in the museum. Finally, after everything she's done, Constantine arrives back in Whiterun. It's good to see those strong stone walls again, and she's eager to get inside and head to sleep. First business, though, is dumping any relics or objects into the museum cargo stores so that they can be shipped off. She really does have to thank Aryan for setting this up. It makes her job so much easier. Finally, she arrives back in Jorrvaskr. Thankfully, nobody's around to ask her any questions like, where did she go? Where's Skjor? Where's anybody? She finds the bunk and is ready to fall asleep for several hours. Upon waking up, though, she has a horrible feeling. After eating a mammoth's snout, she forcibly transforms back into a werewolf, but she can only move. She doesn't have the same bestial feeling she did before, but that doesn't stop others from noticing. She's terrified and running for the door. She's out in Whiterun and starting to be attacked by guards on all sides. She finally feels she's able to break out of the city, but is being relentlessly pursued by the city guards. She can't move her arms to attack. She can't even transform back. What is happening to her? Finally, on the walls of Whiterun, the guards kill her.
Disrespect the law and you disrespect me.
Constantine awakens with a start, sweating buckets. She's alive. And on the stairs in Jorvaskr? Had she been sleepwalking? This is concerning, and her fear of the beast form only grows. But with that, folks, this is where we're going to leave Constantine for now, unsure of what's going on or her next steps. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, apologies it took so long. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, folks.